What's up everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to set up Atom for Python. So Atom is a text editor that's very similar to Sublime Text, except it's completely free and open source. So you're free to go in and change anything you like to make it look and feel exactly the way you want it to. So it's fairly new, it's gaining a lot of popularity, mainly because there's a great community of developers making packages and styles that really improve its functionality and workflow. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, I'm going to show you exactly how I have it set up. So let's get started. So first come to atom.io and click this big red download button. So once the download's complete, just click on the installer and it'll begin setting up Atom for you. You'll get this splash screen showing you that it's setting up. So once it's done, you'll be greeted with this welcome page. So the first thing I like to do is uncheck this show welcome guide when opening Atom because I don't want to see it every time it opens. There's also this Telnet consent asking you if you want to provide information to Atom. So I'm going to be nice and click yes because that's what it's all about. And there's also this welcome guide, which you don't really need. So I'm going to close out of that too. So right out of the box, Atom is not going to be able to run Python code, and we're going to need to install a package to do that. So the way we install packages is we go to File, Settings, Install, and we search for the package. So there's a lot of different options for running Python code, but the package I use is called script. So I'm just going to type script, hit packages, and it's the first one that comes up. So I'm going to click Install. So once it's done installing, we can click right on it and we can read a little bit more about it. So you can see it says run script based on file name, a selection of code, or by line number. So below it gives you a list of all the languages it supports, and you'll find that Python is in the list. So the next table gives you a list of shortcut commands. So the one we're most interested in is the script run. So for Windows, it's Shift Control B. So I don't know about you, but I don't like hitting Shift Control B. I'd rather just hit Control B. So if you want to change that, what you'll do is come to the top, click on View Code. So in here, in the scripts folder, there's a key maps and a scripts.cson file. And then you'll see right here, there's a thing for script run and the shortcut. So I'm going to just change it to Control B instead of Shift Run. So now I'm going to save that, close it. And I'm going to close this window here. And then I'm also going to restart Atom because sometimes you have to restart it. So now that I've restarted Atom, I'm going to go ahead and save my first file. So I'm going to hit Control S to save. I'm just going to save this on my desktop. And let's just do print, hey, it worked. Oops, worked. So now I'll save, and if I hit Control B, it worked. So you can see the output right here, and I don't know about you guys, it's a little small for me. It might be okay for you, but when I'm doing these videos, I like to make it a little bigger. So if you want to change the output size, the way you do that is you go to File, Settings, go to your themes, and then there's this thing called your style sheet. So click on that. It's going to open up a style sheet. And the way you do is you'll need to add a little thing here. So I'll add a link in the description to this site where someone asked the question already, but you'll just come and copy this and you'll just paste it right here. And then you're free to choose whichever size you want. I'm going to do 26, which is good for these videos. Hit save, and you can see already the output increased in size. So that's your style sheet, and that's script. So the next package I want to install is called File Icons, and what it does is make these things look a little nicer based on their extension. So it's called File Icons. So I'm going to search packages, and it's this one right here. So I'll click install, and once this is done installing, you should see these update right away. So yeah, you can see we've got nice little cool icons, just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So the next package I want to install is called Minimap. And for those of you who have used Sublime Text, you're probably familiar with the Minimap. So I'm just going to search Minimap, click install, it's the first one. And I'm also going to install the Minimap highlighted selection. I will install the dependencies, and I think we're good. To show you how it works, I'm going to go ahead and open up an existing file that I have. So you can see the minimap is this column right here on the side, and it gives you a preview of your entire project. there's this little highlighted section which is showing you what is in here in this main window. And you can click and drag to quickly scrub and go through any part of the file that you like. There's also this docs where it will show you the doc string of the imports that you have. Personally, I don't really like it, so I'm going to close it. And I also installed that minimap highlighted. So what that does is if I click on something like this here, Logder, it will highlight, and in the minimap, it'll show it, it'll highlight it in the minimap. I'm not sure if you can see those little white boxes, but what's nice is I can see where they are, and then I can quickly go to where they are in the file. And because it draws this box around it also, it's really simple to find things that you're looking for. So that's minimap and minimap highlighted. So some people like and dislike this next one that I'm going to install, but I like to have an autocomplete package. So I'm just going to come here and type autocomplete Python. And this is the one I want. So what autocomplete does is as you're typing, it's going to pop up a window with a list of suggestions of what you're going to type. Almost all the time, its suggestions are really good and they're exactly what you want. So it's going to say, do you want to use the local engine or Kite? So I believe Kite is just for Mac users. So I'm just going to select the local engine. And now if I jump over to my project here, so I have OS installed. So if I do say os dot, so yeah, it suggests lister, can do scander. So yeah, it pops up with really good suggestions on what I want. So I find it useful. Some people don't. So for people who've used PyCharm before, you're probably familiar with linters, where it's going to highlight errors in your code and suggest changes for it. It's another controversial one. Some people like it, some people don't. I prefer having the linter to make sure I don't make mistakes. So the one I'm going to use is called Flake 8. So this linter Flake 8, this is the one I use. So I'm going to go click install. So install dependencies, yes. So now I think with this one, you have to do a pip install, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it also requires this UI. So I'm going to click yes on all the dependencies. Like I said, it says you have to do a pip install Flake 8. If you don't have Flake 8, you can just come here, run it. I already have it installed, but if you don't, it'll go and install your Flake 8. All the dependencies should be good. So let's jump over to our example and see if we get some errors. So you can see we've got trailing white space that we don't want. Let's do something like for, this is one thing that I hate about the linter is it tends to make your atom crash. So we're back after that crash. So side note to the makers of the Flake 8, please make it less crashy. But for the most part, it works. So let me show you. So if I make some mistakes like for I in range, it's saying that this thing should be at the top. And yeah, it gives you a list of all the errors here, which you can kind of show here. So that's the linter. It's a way of highlighting all your problems. It can sometimes get in the way because you are just typing and these things pop up a lot and you don't want to see them because you're going to fix them right away, but they're popping up. Yeah, so that's the linter. So one customization that I like to do with the linter is there's certain errors that I don't care about and I don't want them popping up. So what you can do is you can get rid of or ignore certain errors. So for example, if I pop over here, I have this function. You can see I'm getting this error saying expected 2 blank lines after a class or function. So say I don't want that to show up, you can see that the error has a little code right here, E305. So if I come over here to the ignore errors list and type E305, and then I jump back here, wait a second, and now it's gone. It's going to ignore that one. So if there's ones that pop up and bug you, just add them to that list. The one thing that I really don't like is after 80 spaces, it tells you need to go to the next line and it doesn't want you to put characters after 80. So I always make the max line length really big so I don't get that error because I have a 4K monitor so I can see the code and 80 characters is no problem. So I just set this really high and that way I don't get that one either. Or I could just add it to the exception list. So if you have a particular font that you like, you can come over to the editor and there's this field called font family, and you can go ahead and enter any font you like. So the one I like is Consolas, and you may not even notice a difference, but you're free to choose whichever one you like. So that's how you change the font family. And another thing I like to change is the line height. You can see there's this field called line height. By default, it's set to 1.5. If we were to say make it 1, you'll see that all these things are really smushed together, which is not nice. So what I like to do, I like to go a little bit bigger, 1.75. And you can see there's a lot more space between the lines. And I don't know, for me, I think it's a little more readable. So I go with 1.75, and you're free to choose whichever one you like. Another popular selection that people choose is this scroll past the end. So with it unchecked, if I go to the end, that's as far as I can scroll. But if I want this if main part to be up here, all I need to do is click on the scroll past the end. And so now I can bring it all the way to the top. Another thing I like is this indent guide. So without it, for example, here for these indentions, nothing is shown. But if I were to click it, you can see show indent guide. So now there's these little lines right here that kind of guide you and show you where the indentation should be. So I like it. If you want it, you just click the show indent guide. So if you're using Python, then you're definitely going to want to set your tab length to 4. If you're using some other language, then you're probably free to choose whatever you like. But for Python, you definitely want 4, unless you want to click space 4 times, which I don't know who would actually do that. So another change I like to make is to get rid of this vertical line over here. So the purpose of it is to indicate when you should end your line and start a new one. But I kind of like to let my lines go a little longer, especially because the screen I have, it lets me do that. So what you want to do is disable this core package called wrap guide. If you go to your packages, scroll down, you'll go to your core packages, and I think it's the last one. So you'll just hit disable, and now that line's gone. So that's how you get rid of it. So the last package I would like to install is an autopep 8 package. So what this does is it'll format your files so that it's got commas with white spaces after them, white space between equal signs, but not when it's in function calls, and 2 white spaces after functions, but 1 white space after class methods, stuff like that to make it standard the way it's written. So the one I use is called Python autopep 8. So we'll just click and install this. And once it's done installing, I think we need to go into it and we need to click format on save. So I don't think there's there's no pip install that we need to do. So for example, let's put this fake def function that I had here, and I'll just do control save, and you can see it adds the 2 spaces. Let's get rid of that space after the comma, hit control save, it adds the space back. So it's something nice just to make sure it's consistent. So one of the great things about Atom is the themes. So there's 2 types of themes, UI themes and syntax themes. UI themes are stuff like buttons, drop downs, how this column is set up, how this tree structure is set up, and things like that. Syntax themes are how words are colored and highlighted and shown in your files. So right out of the box, the OneDark UI theme and the OneDark syntax theme is already really nice. I think it's a great theme. The colors are pretty cool. So I actually leave the OneDark UI theme as is. And then the syntax theme that I like is called Dropkick Dark Syntax. So if you watch some of my other videos, that's the one I use. It's not very popular. It's only got 241 downloads, but it's the one I like. So the way you install it is you just click on it, install. I've already done it. So you come back over to themes and then you just select it from the drop down. So this is what it looks like right out of the box. And what I do is I make a little tweak to it because I think the background is a little too light. I want it darker. So the way you can do that is if you go to the theme, you just click on it, and then there's this view code. So we can click on that, and then we get a window that pops up with all the files that define the code. So what these are less sheets. So a .less it's like a CSS sheet that does the styles. So what we can do is we can edit this to make the theme look the way we want it. So the way I'm going to change it is if I go to the editor less sheet at the top, at the very top of it, there's this Atom text editor. So I want to change the background color. So with less, you can just take the existing color, and there's these cool functions called like darken or lighten. So I can just put the color inside a function called darken, and then I can just say how much darker I want. So I'm gonna do 7%. So when I save this, switch over to my editor, and in order for it to take effect, you have to like swap the theme once. So I'm gonna go back to Dropkick Dark, and now you can see this is a lot darker. So if I wanted to do other tweaks in there, you can go to the languages tab and then go to the Python less. You can play with these things to make them look however you want. I'm not exactly sure because I'm not a CSS less editor, but I was able to just kind of play around until I got it to work the way I wanted it to. So that's how you can tweak your style sheets, and if you feel ambitious, you can write your own and post it and see if people like it. So that's all I've got for this video, guys. If you liked it, give it a like. If you got any questions, if you set up your Atom some way completely different, or if you've got some other editor that you like, post in the comments below. I'd like to hear what you guys think. If I missed a package, also leave a comment. And if you're new and you like the content you're seeing, well, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be making a lot more videos. So thanks, guys. See ya.